Leandria Johnson has always been more than just a gospel singer. To her fans, she is a voice of hope, a symbol of strength, and someone who knows what it feels like to walk through pain, yet still keep faith alive. From the moment she first stepped onto the stage, people could feel that her songs were not just performances. They were pieces of her soul. Every word, every note, carried the weight of her journey. And that is why, when news about her recently began to spread, it left many people speechless and deeply concerned. This heartbreaking update has shocked not only her closest supporters, but the entire gospel community. It is the kind of news that makes you stop and realize how fragile life can be, even for someone as strong and inspiring as Leandria. Today, fans across the country are uniting in prayer, holding on to hope, and sending love her way. The question on everyone's heart right now is simple. What has happened to Leandria Johnson, and why is the world asking for prayers? Leandria Johnson is not just a name in the gospel world. She is a story of survival, faith, and undeniable talent. For years, her voice has been the kind of voice that can move people to tears, heal broken hearts, and remind listeners that no matter how dark life gets, there is still light at the end of the tunnel. From church stages to major platforms, she has carried a sound that feels like a prayer in itself. Fans didn't just listen to her songs, they felt them. They could hear the pain, the victories, and the lessons of her own life in every single lyric. But now, the same fans who once found comfort through her voice are the ones left shaken by a heartbreaking update. News began to spread recently that something serious had happened to Leandria, and almost instantly, social media filled with messages of shock and disbelief. People could not believe that the woman who had stood so strong through so many storms might now be facing one of the hardest battles of her life. For many, it felt personal, like seeing a family member hurting. What makes this moment even more emotional is the fact that Leandria has always been open about her journey. She never pretended to be perfect. She allowed the world to see her flaws, her struggles, and her healing process. That honesty is exactly why so many people connect with her. She gave people the courage to admit their own struggles, and in return, fans gave her their love and support. That bond now feels stronger than ever, as people across the country bow their heads, whisper prayers, and ask God to cover her with protection and strength. Right now, one question is echoing in the hearts of her supporters everywhere. What has happened to Leandria Johnson, and why are so many people saying she needs our prayers more than ever before? Recently, news began to circulate that Leandria Johnson has been facing one of the toughest seasons of her life. According to those close to her, she has been quietly battling serious health challenges that have left her physically drained and emotionally exhausted. For someone who has always been known for her powerful voice and strong presence on stage, this update felt almost unreal. The thought of Leandria struggling in such a personal way has left fans shaken, unable to imagine gospel music without her strength shining through it. Reports suggest that over the past few weeks, she has been in and out of medical care, trying to manage a condition that has unexpectedly taken a toll on her. While the exact details remain private, what we do know is that the weight of this situation has been overwhelming. People who have seen her recently describe her as brave but fragile, still carrying faith but in need of more prayers than ever before. For someone who has given so much of herself to the world through music and ministry, it is heartbreaking to know she is now the one who needs to be lifted up. What makes this moment even harder is the emotional battle that comes with it. Leandria has always been open about the struggles of carrying pain while still trying to serve others. And now, facing this challenge, it is clear that even her unshakable spirit is being tested. Those who love her say she has been trying to stay strong for her family, for her children, and for her fans. But the reality is, she cannot walk through this storm alone. This heartbreaking update spread quickly online, leaving many to wonder what the future holds. For her supporters, it was more than just news. It felt like a call to action, a moment to come together and pray for someone who has poured her soul into lifting others. The shock of hearing that Leandria, the woman with a voice so powerful it could break chains, is now fighting her own battle, has created a wave of emotions across the gospel community. Leandria's story has never been a simple one. It has been filled with highs and lows, victories and struggles, moments of joy and seasons of pain. From the very beginning of her career, she stood out as a powerhouse voice in gospel music. But behind that voice was a woman who carried scars. Over the years, she faced personal battles that were often in the public eye. She struggled openly with emotional pain, challenges in her personal life, and at times, health concerns that made people worry. There were moments when it seemed like the weight of the world was pressing down on her shoulders. Yet, even through those storms, she found a way to rise again and again. And that resilience became a part of her identity. Fans didn't just admire her because of her music, they admired her because she was real, because she wasn't afraid to admit that life could be hard, and because she kept pushing forward despite it all. There were times when she shared how her faith was the only thing that kept her standing. Times when she admitted she almost gave up, but then found strength in prayer, in family, and in the love of her supporters. Many people began to see their own lives reflected in her story. If Leandria could keep going after everything she had faced, then maybe they could too. That is why she became more than just a gospel artist. She became an example of perseverance, a reminder that even broken pieces can still create something beautiful. And now, knowing the depth of everything she has survived in the past, today's heartbreaking update feels even more painful. Fans can't help but remember all those earlier struggles and wonder how much more one woman can endure. The heartbreaking news about Leandria Johnson came like a storm no one was prepared for. It wasn't just a rumor, it was an update that left even some of her closest supporters in tears. According to sources close to her, Leandria has been quietly battling a serious health condition that recently took a turn for the worse. For weeks, she had tried to keep it private, pushing through the pain, still showing up when she could, still trying to smile for those around her. But behind closed doors, the struggle was real, and it had begun to take a visible toll on her body and spirit. Those who know her best describe her as a fighter, someone who refuses to give up easily, and even now, she is showing the same determination. Yet the truth is, this battle has left her more vulnerable than fans have ever seen before. She has always been the strong one, the one lifting others through her music, but this time, she is the one who desperately needs lifting. That is what makes this update so heartbreaking. It reminds people that no matter how strong, how inspiring, or how gifted someone may be, they are still human. Some reports say she has been in and out of medical care, receiving treatment and trying to regain her strength. Friends close to her family have shared that she has good days when her smile returns and her laughter fills the room, but she also has days when the weight of her condition leaves her silent and exhausted. For many, it is painful to imagine someone with such a vibrant, powerful voice, struggling even to find the energy to get through the day. And the emotional toll is just as heavy. Those who have spoken about her situation say that she has been open with her loved ones, telling them that while she is trusting God for healing, she also feels afraid at times. She has moments of doubt, moments when she wonders how much more she can handle. But even in those moments, she turns back to prayer, asking God for strength not just for herself, but for her children and for the people who believe in her. What makes this update so shocking is the timing. Just when it seemed like Leandria was in a season of new beginnings, ready to rise again and share her gift with the world, this sudden health crisis reminded everyone how quickly life can change. The gospel community, her fans, and even fellow artists were left stunned, asking themselves the same painful question: how much more can she endure? This is not just another news story. For her supporters, it feels deeply personal. Leandria Johnson has given so much of herself to the world through her voice, her honesty, and her courage. And now, as she faces one of the hardest battles of her life, the world is being called to give something back: their prayers, their love, and their unwavering support. The moment news about Leandria's condition began to spread, fans all over the country turned to one thing they knew could make a difference: prayer. Social media timelines were instantly flooded with messages of love, encouragement, and heartfelt prayers. Hashtags carrying her name started trending, with thousands of people sharing how her music had touched their lives and how they were now standing in the gap for her. Some wrote long posts about how Leandria's songs had pulled them through. Church communities also joined in. Pastors asked their congregations to lift her up in prayer during services. Gospel choirs dedicated songs to her, voices rising in harmony as they prayed for her healing. Even fellow gospel artists and well-known names in the music industry began posting about her, reminding people that when one of us is hurting, we all should come together as one family. It wasn't just fans anymore. It was the entire gospel world uniting for a single purpose: to cover Leandria Johnson in prayer. Some fans shared emotional memories of meeting her at concerts, recalling how she hugged them like family or prayed with them backstage. Others remembered how her raw honesty in interviews gave them courage to face their own struggles. For many, the update about her condition wasn't just about a celebrity they admired. It felt like watching a sister, a friend, or even a spiritual guide go through pain. That personal connection is what made the reaction so powerful. Videos began circulating online of people gathering in small prayer circles, holding hands, and calling her name before God. Tears streamed down faces as they prayed for her health, her children, and her future. One supporter even said, "Leandria gave us hope when we had none. Now it's our turn to give it back to her." Those words quickly spread across platforms, echoing the feelings of thousands who believed their collective prayers could bring her strength. This overwhelming wave of love showed just how deeply Leandria has touched people's lives. It wasn't about fame or awards. It was about the real impact of her spirit, her story, and her music. Fans weren't just hoping for her recovery. They were declaring it in faith, believing that the same God who gave her a voice to heal others could now heal her. After days of silence and countless prayers being lifted on her behalf, Leandria Johnson finally chose to break her silence with a heartfelt message to her fans. Her words were not long or complicated, but they carried the weight of her heart. In a short note shared through her team, she said, "I want to thank every single one of you for your prayers, your love, and your support. Right now, I am in a battle, and I won't pretend that it's easy. Some days are harder than others, but I know I am not walking through this storm alone. I feel your prayers, and I feel God's presence with me." Her message immediately touched thousands. Fans could sense the honesty in her words, and many said they broke down in tears reading them. She admitted that she is still scared at times, still unsure of what each day may bring, but she made it clear that her faith has not left her. "I believe in the power of prayer," she wrote, "and I believe that healing is possible. Please don't stop praying for me and for my family. Your support means more than you'll ever know." Those few lines reminded everyone of who Leandria truly is, a woman who has always been open about her pain, but never ashamed to cling to her faith. Even in her weakest moment, she was thinking of others, thanking them for their strength and asking them to continue standing with her. It was a vulnerable yet powerful reminder that sometimes the strongest thing a person can do is admit that they need help. Her response only deepened the love and respect fans already had for her. People began resharing her message with words of encouragement, promising that they would continue to lift her up daily. To many, this was more than just a statement. It was proof that even in her struggle, Leandria still had the heart of a fighter, and that her faith was unshakable. Leandria's journey is more than just the story of one woman. It is a mirror that reflects the struggles so many of us silently go through. Her voice has always been a gift, but behind that gift, she has carried battles that the world could not always see. And now, as she faces one of the hardest challenges of her life, her story reminds us of something powerful. Even the strongest people need support, even the most inspiring voices sometimes tremble, and even those who pour into others must be poured into as well. This heartbreaking update has touched so many because it shows how human she truly is. Too often, people place singers, pastors, and leaders on a pedestal, forgetting that they, too, have bodies that can get weak and hearts that can break. Leandria's struggle is a sobering reminder that no amount of fame, talent, or recognition can protect a person from life's storms. But what can protect us is faith, community, and love. Her story also teaches us about the power of vulnerability. Throughout her career, Leandria has never hidden her flaws or her pain. She never pretended to be perfect, and that honesty is exactly what made people love her. Now, as she once again stands in need of help, for fans, this moment is not just about supporting a favorite gospel singer. It is about realizing that life is fragile, and that we should never take people we love for granted. It is about remembering to check on the strong ones, because they too have days when they feel like giving up. And most importantly, it is about leaning on God when life feels too heavy to carry alone. In many ways, Leandria's story is not just hers, it belongs to all of us. Because just like her, we all have battles we fight quietly. And just like her, we all need moments when someone whispers a prayer for us, stands beside us, and reminds us that we are not alone. As we come to the end of this update, one thing is clear: Leandria Johnson needs us now more than ever. This is not just about a gospel singer we admire. This is about a woman, a mother, a fighter, and a child of God who is walking through one of the hardest storms of her life. She has given the world her gift, her honesty, and her heart. And today, she is asking for something simple yet powerful: our prayers. So let this moment be more than just another story you hear and forget. Let it move you to action. Whether it's a whispered prayer before you sleep, a message of encouragement shared online, or a word of hope spoken in your church, every single gesture matters. When thousands of voices join together, miracles can happen. And if there is anyone who deserves to experience that miracle, it is Leandria Johnson. To her fans, to her family in faith, and to everyone who has ever been touched by her music, this is our time to stand with her. Let's believe for her healing, let's cover her children with love, and let's speak life into her future. Because if Leandria's journey has taught us anything, it is that God's power is greater than any storm we face. We will continue to follow her story and keep you updated, but for now, let us do the one thing she has asked of us: keep her lifted in prayer. Together, let's believe that this storm will pass, that her voice will rise again, and that the same woman who has poured so much hope into the world will soon find herself surrounded by the hope she so richly deserves. Leandria Johnson has always been more than just a gospel singer. To her fans, she is a voice of hope, a symbol of strength, and someone who knows what it feels like to walk through pain, yet still keep faith alive. From the moment she first stepped onto the stage, people could feel that her songs were not just performances, they were pieces of her soul. Every word, every note, carried the weight of her journey. And that is why, when news about her recently began to spread, it left many people speechless and deeply concerned. This heartbreaking update has shocked not only her closest supporters, but the entire gospel community. It is the kind of news that makes you stop and realize how fragile life can be, even for someone as strong and inspiring as Leandria. Today, fans across the country are uniting in prayer, holding on to hope, and sending love her way. The question on everyone's heart right now is simple: what has happened to Leandria Johnson, and why is the world asking for prayers? To truly understand why this news feels so heavy, we have to look back at the journey she has walked. Leandria's story has never been a simple one. It has been filled with highs and lows, victories and struggles, moments of joy and seasons of pain. From the very beginning of her career, she stood out as a powerhouse voice in gospel music. But behind that voice was a woman who carried scars. Over the years, she faced personal battles that were often in the public eye. She struggled openly with emotional pain, challenges in her personal life, and at times, health concerns that made people worry. There were moments when it seemed like the weight of the world was pressing down on her shoulders. Yet, even through those storms, she found a way to rise again and again, and that resilience became a part of her identity. Fans didn't just admire her because of her music, they admired her because she was real, because she wasn't afraid to admit that life could be hard, and because she kept pushing forward despite it all. She showed people that brokenness does not mean defeat, and that with faith, healing is always possible. But now, the same fans who once found comfort through her voice are the ones left shaken by a heartbreaking update. According to those close to her, Leandria has been quietly battling a serious health condition that recently took a turn for the worse. For weeks, she had tried to keep it private, pushing through the pain, still trying to smile for those around her. But behind closed doors, the struggle was real, and it had begun to take a visible toll on her body and spirit. For someone who has always been known for her